Let's talk about Batman's greatest creation and most deadly enemy, Failsafe. Penguin has set off on a new mission where he's wiping out the elites in Gotham. Anyone who's inherited $5 million or more is on his hit list. And as a casualty of Oswald's extremely meticulous and well thought out plan, Robin gets shot in the neck. While Tim is going to live, this brings the Dark Knight right where Cobblepot wants him, to his deathbed. The Penguin began to tell Batman how much he hated all the other rich people in Gotham, the ones who never bothered to give him the time of day because of how he looked. He includes Batman on this list of people he hates because he is clearly a billionaire. But the Penguin admits of all the rich elite in Gotham that he was going to wipe out, he personally could have never killed the Batman. But he can end him. As police sirens start blaring outside, he pops a cyanide capsule and then calls for his nurse. The Penguin made sure there are witnesses in the room and outside when Batman goes to leave the building so that everyone knows Batman had finally snapped and killed. Now that he's been framed and news starts to break everywhere that Gotham's savior has stooped to such a low level, we see an ominous beeping start up inside of the Batcave. His Failsafe has now come online. As we see the rest of the Bat family getting ready to go out on patrol and save the city every night like they always do, we see Bruce thinking about how proud he is and how he could have never dreamed of having a family like this, mostly because he doesn't dream. At least, not like they do, because while Bruce knows that they deserve all of the love and happiness in the world, this life just doesn't allow it. Bruce contemplates all this as we see him sitting in the Batcave in front of a screen, tirelessly trying to get a feel for the criminal underbelly in Gotham. But suddenly he finds himself inches away from death. He begins trying to fight back, but whatever the hell this thing is, it's too fast, too strong, and it knows how to fight. Keeps taking blow after blow, but telling himself to get back up, to get on his feet, but he realizes quickly that if he doesn't, he's going to die. He calls to the Batmobile for an exit. As he shoots his grappling hook onto the back of it, he throws some explosives in Failsafe's face, trying to buy himself some time. It's rolled around in the streets of Gotham, and Bruce gets up, knowing he's hurt, knowing he's concussed, and even Oracle is calling in and checking on him because his vitals are all over the place. He tells her he'll live as he's telling himself to focus, to figure out what this is, and figure out how the hell to slow it down. While Barbara is trying to figure out the best way to help him, he tells her not to worry, that he'll keep this thing busy, but the only thing Failsafe is busy with is knocking Bruce around Gotham like a ragdoll. He goes to his trusty grappling gun that's gotten him out of so many jams before and tries to make an escape, but as he does, he gets grabbed by the cape and slammed back into the ground. His face is getting smashed in, and Bruce tells himself that it can't end like this. Through blood and broken teeth, he asks it, "What are you?" Failsafe replies, "Justice." The good thing about Bruce fighting in Gotham is that he is never truly alone, as we see Duke, Steph, and Cass show up to save their injured mentor. Batman is worried. He knows that Failsafe is too much, that the kids are going to get themselves killed, but it turned out that Failsafe only had one target. Duke realizes this and tells Batman to run, to get out of here, that it only wants him. We see Tim arrive, pulling Batman up to his feet, dragging him to the car and telling him they're going to the Batcave to get help. But Failsafe is in hot pursuit, surely to catch them in a matter of seconds. But lucky enough for Bruce, the prodigal son has returned as Nightwing launches his bike off the front of the Batmobile, hitting Failsafe square in the face, only to see this metallic monster keep right on trucking. Nightwing speculates that they might be out of their league here, and Failsafe quickly shows them how much that is the case. Bat family are doing all they can. They're fighting as hard as possible to absolutely no avail. And eventually, Failsafe rips Signal's helmet off, scans it, and figures out he has exactly what he needs. Access to and the location of the new Batcave, but as Failsafe arrives, he only sees Leslie there. Turns out Bruce, of course, was thinking one step ahead and had Tim take him to his old Batcave. He tells Robin to stay behind because what he has to do from here on out, he has to do alone because he just wouldn't understand. In fact, none of the kids would. They don't understand the lengths that their mentor has gone to. They've been around for years. They've made him softer, but back in his early days, he took things a little too far. Ever since Failsafe's arrival, there's been a ticking going on in the back of Bruce's mind, and he finally comes to the realization that whatever this thing is, that he had done it to himself. Only one person could have been responsible for this, a Failsafe for a Failsafe. So Bruce allows himself to fall to the side, let the real Batman come out to play. We see Zurr-En-Arrh explaining to Tim what he is, that years ago Bruce had made a backup of Batman in his own mind to protect against psychological attacks. He is a pure, distilled down version of Batman without any of the Bruce Wayne in him. He tells Tim that Bruce allowed him to take control because he correctly assumed that Zurr-En-Arrh was the one who created Failsafe. So Zurr-En-Arrh could be the only one who would stop it, but the only problem with that is that he erased that memory from his own mind. This pure, unfiltered Batman has ran out of time to plan as Failsafe comes busting into the Batcave. Zurr-En-Arrh tells Tim not to hesitate, to attack with full force, that the mission only ends when both of them die. But a Batman who has lost their way is death, and he must be stopped by all means. The only problem with that is if you're trying to stop Batman, you've got to stop Robin too. As the Boy Wonder jumps into the fight, he starts to help this twisted version of his mentor, and he tries to plead with Failsafe, telling him that Cobblepot framed Batman. But of course, this mechanized menace just thinks Tim is lying, and now Zurr-En-Arrh is fighting with everything he has, and while, yeah, he may be a pure, unfiltered version of Batman, he is still in the very banged up and bruised body of Bruce Wayne. As Tim drags him away from the fight, he tells him that his body needs time to heal. Tim is dead set on getting Bruce to safety, but Zurr-En-Arrh has other plans. He doesn't want to quit fighting. He tells him that Failsafe needs to be stopped, and needs to be stopped now. Now, as they go hiding throughout the mansion, it turns out that Zurr-En-Arrh was able to slip a tracer onto Failsafe so that he could keep up with where he is, and stay one step ahead. But while this is supposed to be a completely unfiltered version of Batman with no Bruce Wayne living inside of him, when Failsafe goes to desecrate a picture of Alfred in the study, Bruce gets pissed. But all that anger just ends up with more pain as he gets launched through a wall. As Tim jumps in, Failsafe starts smacking him around and telling him that he needs to quit, that fighting him is just causing their family more pain. But back on his feet, Zurr-En-Arrh tells him, not my family, my soldiers, my army, and my war isn't over. Doing everything he can to keep fighting for his damn mission, Zurr-En-Arrh is destroying their bodies, just trying desperately to stop Failsafe. But in the back of his mind, Bruce begins to speak up. Bruce tells Zurr-En-Arrh that Failsafe is trying to stop Batman. More than anything, he's trying to stop you. The reality is that they are Batman and they are Bruce Wayne, and Tim isn't a soldier, he's his son. As Bruce regains his consciousness and takes back control of his body from Zurr-En-Arrh, the first thing he does is grab Robin and launch him out of the building to safety. Bruce tells Tim to run, to get as far away as he can, and then call for backup, and while Bruce is putting on a brave face, he knows he can't do this alone. As Failsafe grabs him and pulls him back into the mansion, even knowing that, Bruce isn't going to let anyone die on his behalf. He breaks free and then tries to attack any weakness that a typical android would have, but of course, Bruce built this thing, so Failsafe has none of those. As Batman keeps getting kicked, punched, and thrown through the building by Failsafe, he gets up to his feet and he can't even think. His brain is rattling around inside of his head. He's desperately trying to get away, but he can barely walk. He eventually falls and collapses on the steps of his home. Failsafe is talking to him, taunting him, but he can't even hear him anymore. All Bruce can think about is Dick, Tim, Jason, Damian, his legacy, his sons. His body's giving out, and he thinks to himself that this would be a good death, wouldn't it? In this place, with all of these memories. And while it would be a good death, Batman doesn't die. With Failsafe hovering over top of Bruce's limp body, all of a sudden a cold gust of wind comes rushing through, completely putting out the fire in his home. While he could no longer hear Failsafe's words, he hears his. Because when he means it, his voice absolutely booms. It's a Midwestern boom that would tell even the most cynical man on Earth that everything is going to be alright. As Superman tells Failsafe to back away from his friend. Superman is using his X-ray vision. He's trying to completely assess the situation. He's worried that one false move and Failsafe is going to kill Bruce. Here's the thing, Bruce designed Failsafe, so he should be worried about himself as we see this monstrous robot pulling kryptonite out of his chest. Bruce knows that Clark is going to try to play this smart to get away, to keep his distance and use long-range attacks, but the problem is Batman knows Superman, so does Failsafe. He just wanted to push the Man of Steel away so that he could rush back and finish the job. As Superman comes rushing in behind Failsafe, trying to stop him from killing his creator, a single blade of kryptonite comes popping out of Failsafe's back, stabbing Big Blue in the stomach. Ollie then steps in, hitting Failsafe with an explosive arrow. Batman knows that his body is beaten, broken, he's old, and he can barely move. Only his friends can save him now. Of course, if his creation doesn't end up killing them. Martian Manhunter, Hawkgirl, Black Canary all begin teaming up on Failsafe. But while their collaborative effort is at least keeping Failsafe busy, inside the mansion, the world's finest are dying. Bruce's entire body is screaming at him to shut down, just to slip into unconsciousness, but he won't let that happen. Ignoring every nerve ending in his body that's screaming at him about his cuts and breaks and fractures, the Batman rolls over on his hands and knees and crawls towards his best friend. Mustering up all of his strength, he pulls the kryptonite out of Superman's stomach and patches him up to stop the bleeding, knowing that he bought Superman at least a couple of hours before he completely collapses. And while his effort is noble, Batman knows that if Superman doesn't get treated, that the kryptonite poisoning in his blood will eventually kill him. With Failsafe busy outside, Tim and Ollie come rushing over so that they can load up our black and blue heroes. Green Arrow ends up sacrificing his own well-being to keep Failsafe busy long enough for Tim to take off in the Justice League jet. Problem is, he doesn't know where to go, where they could possibly be safe, and Batman is barely able to whisper, "Fly southeast by 94 degrees. Failsafe has an answer for every member of the Justice League. Everything that they throw at him is not good enough to stop him. As Failsafe takes to the skies, he's not following the jet. Instead, he heads into Gotham, specifically to a city block that was formerly owned by Bruce Wayne. Of course, the Justice League were hot on his trail, trying to find him, trying to stop him. It turns out they were led straight into a trap. Every weakness they had, everything that could be exploited, was stored here. There's even a specially designed device launched out of the side of the building that sticks to Dinah's face and muffles the voice of the Black Canary. Inside the Justice League jet that's zooming over the ocean, we see Batman telling himself, willing himself to get up and get to work. While Robin is trying to stop him, he tells Tim that he's sorry, but Failsafe is coming for him, and Superman is dying. The world can't afford to lose him. He is the greatest hero, the world's greatest weapon. He tells the boy Wonder that he's changing the coordinates in the jet to go to the Fortress of Solitude, where he'll have everything he needs to fix Big Blue. But if Batman's with him, Superman can't be saved, as we see him grabbing Tim's shoulders and telling him how proud he is of him, of the man he's become, and he's Robin. He knows he'll save Superman. Batman then falls out of the jet into the cold water below. We see a signal on Batman's belt going off as he's falling and sinking into the depths. He thinks to himself he needs to retreat, he needs to heal, he needs to come up with a plan. As he's about to pass out, he thinks to himself, "Don't let me die." Finally, at the last second, he sees that help is on its way. The good news is, Bruce wakes up completely safe and healed in Atlantis. The bad news is, it's been 2 weeks, and Gotham has fallen. Failsafe has created a robotic army that is patrolling the city, looking for any of Batman's enemies, and looking for him. Most of the Bat family have been captured, and while Bruce is assumed dead, Failsafe is still searching every corner of the world, and eventually, he will check the bottom of the ocean. Because Failsafe knows Batman is still alive, and he knows that he can't stay away from his city, especially when it's in the state that it's in. To make matters worse, Failsafe is calling for him as Arthur tells his old friend that he wants you and the world to know that Gotham is his and you need to come and get it. With Batman now in hiding while he's recuperating, Failsafe is trying to lure him out. He has turned Gotham into his worst nightmare. Every corner has a Joe Chill, every alley is a crime alley, and while Batman obviously programmed Failsafe not to kill anyone, he's pouring gasoline on the fire that is Gotham. While his city is burning, Batman is trapped underwater. Bruce tells Arthur there's nothing they can do to shut Failsafe down. Only one person knew how to do that, and that was Alfred, and now he's gone. Aquaman realizes this thing is burning Gotham to the ground just to get at Bruce, taking out any League member that decides to get involved, and by doing all of this, Batman has put Atlantis in danger. In his heart, Bruce knows that he's right, that giving up and dying would be the only way really to stop all of this, to make sure that everyone that is in his life would be safe. And meanwhile, Failsafe is doing scans. He's analyzing and then comes to the realization that almost every metahuman with a connection to Batman has got involved. Everyone, that is, except for Arthur Curry, who there has been absolutely no sign of since Batman went missing. Aquaman then tries to prepare his people for this impossible task, fending off this impending invasion. One of them pushes back and says that they should just hand over the land dweller, they shouldn't endanger Atlantis for him. Arthur's only response is getting in this Atlantean's face and asking him, how many times have you saved this planet? Because if you asked Batman that, we'd have to sit here for a while he tallied up the answer. Tells him, you live and breathe in this ocean, on this planet, thanks to Batman. Now defend him. While Aquaman starts preparing for war, we see Bruce thinking to himself how much he allows the people around him to suffer. He tells himself that he makes up for it by the number of people he saves, but at some point, those scales have to tip. He needs to silo himself off from his family and friends as we see Arthur immediately come under attack and captured by Failsafe. The robot does exactly what he expects it to. It attacks their king first, it holds him hostage, and then demands to know where Batman's whereabouts are. Bruce planned for this and knew that by the time Failsafe found him, he would already be gone. Bruce had used Aquaman's Justice League teleporter to head to the Watchtower where he can make his final stand. Since Failsafe can't use the teleporters, he knows he's buying himself a little time to prepare, to plan, to get the watchtower ready for what he needs to do. But before Batman can get completely ready, Failsafe is already here. The tower's first line of defenses does almost nothing as Failsafe successfully makes contact with the moon. Failsafe is taking his time, searching, scanning, destroying what he needs to on his way through as he's searching for his target. Sitting in the rafters like a bat, Bruce uses one of the most powerful weapons in the entire Justice League armory, 3 quadrillion watts encased in new Genesis steel, as he fires away at Failsafe. While the blast does nothing more really than piss Failsafe off, at least Batman accomplished one thing he was wanting to do: damage Failsafe's outer shell. Dark Knight knows he can't take Failsafe one-on-one, but commanding the Justice League tower, he is at least giving himself a chance. He launches Failsafe out into space, he knows he's got at least another 30 seconds. As he rushes to the teleporter in the watchtower, Bruce jumps in knowing that Failsafe would have already planned for this. Failsafe thinks just like Batman would think. He would have went around the world destroying every one of the Justice League teleporters except for one, making sure Bruce would fall directly into his trap. But then Failsafe realizes that Batman's not that stupid. But this realization comes a second too late, because Batman reversed the teleporter. In an instant, everything surrounding the teleportation tube is gone. Failsafe and the accompanying rubble all land harmlessly at the Hall of Justice. Batman is left fending for himself, floating in space. He made sure his suit is sealed, but it is a chilly -455 degrees out here. As he calls out to the watchtower to send him a ride home, to send him a javelin, it turns out Failsafe had took the time to destroy them all, leaving Batman with no ships, no teleporters, just a cold and lonely death in space. 240,000 miles from Earth, Batman has a mere 14 minutes to live. He begins by using the compressed gas inside of his grappling gun in order to propel himself through the void. He does this to get near one of the Justice League's destroyed ships, and while it is inoperable, its oxygen tank very much is. While he's bought himself another 12 hours worth of breathing, he knows he can't head back to the moon because that would be the first place Failsafe looks. And using a piece of debris from this destroyed ship, Batman then sets sail for Earth. There's no drag, no gravity in space, so any speed that Bruce picks up, he will keep and maintain. The world's greatest detective does careful calculations to figure out that he needs to use his grappling gun in 9G bursts, and about 60 of those will build him up to 40,000 miles an hour. His plan is working. Now, 8 hours later, as he's approaching Earth's atmosphere, he knows he has to slow himself down. So he rotates his DIY spaceship and uses the grappling gun in the opposite direction so that he could slow himself down for re-entry. But the problem is, this process is painful. Going 9Gs is almost unbearable. And 45 minutes later, we see that the Dark Knight had blacked out in this process and is now burning through the atmosphere. Getting too hot, he ditches his oxygen tank just in the nick of time before it explodes, propelling him even faster. While his suit was built to handle the heat, the oxygen mask he was using sure couldn't. In the midst of one of the most stressful situations Batman has ever found himself in, he kind of laughs when he thinks to himself that he told Clark that fireproof trunks were a good idea, as he pulls them off and wraps them around his face. From here on out, he can hold his breath for the rest of the fall, and he knows that the spines in his wings will hold up. The only problem is he can't slow down too fast. He begins calculating the wind resistance and how he needs to come in so that he can slow down just enough to where it doesn't kill him, but also so that the ground won't either. As the burning bat successfully lands in the snow, he quickly rises to his feet, knowing that there's no time to rest. Failsafe is coming. Superman awakes in a panic, and while Robin tries to stop him and tell him his solar radiation treatment isn't done yet, Clark pays him no mind because he knows he just heard his best friend arrive. Superman tells him that he's good. He's not 100%, but he can do everything Batman needs to buy him some time, that he can end this once and for all, as the Fortress of Solitude's cameras pick up Failsafe marching through the snow towards his creator. He rushes out of the Fortress of Solitude to protect Gotham's finest. Superman tells Failsafe he wasn't ready for him last time, but he damn sure is now. The Man of Steel launches the robot into the side of the mountain, and just as fast as he lands, Superman is right there on top of him. Failsafe tells Kal-El that he knows things about him that even he wouldn't know. For example, Kryptonians have pressure points, much like humans. And by piercing one, he causes Superman's heat vision to go off involuntarily, reflect off of the shield that he is wearing, and disorient him. While Big Blue is writhing on the ground helpless, Failsafe rises to his feet, gathers himself, and tells him that he's a good friend. While all of this was going on, Bruce tells Tim of his last-ditch effort, of the hole that he was able to put in Failsafe's outer armor back on Justice League Watchtower. Failsafe is just built too well. A normal virus would be shut down by his programming and his defenses almost immediately. Bruce plans to introduce some nanotech that will subtly shift his personality. While this will still be hard to deploy, this thing was made to kill Batman, but not fight Batman and Robin. The dynamic duo rush out of the Fortress of Solitude to fight for Bruce's life, and their old moves come right back. Batman thinks to himself Vic would always go off book, Jason hated practicing, but Tim loved the teamwork. When they fight, they truly have each other's backs, but this time it's different. They're not up against some ex-con or Killer Croc. This is Batman, without the restraints, without the weakness, but they've got to try and change that. We see Batman triumphantly leaping over Failsafe's back as he injects the nanotech into the one chink in his armor, reprogramming it to feel compassion. Batman tells his creation that that's what always separated the two of them. Yes, he is the Dark Knight, yes, he is vengeance, but he still cares, and now, so will Failsafe. Failsafe seems to be spinning out, confused. He runs back into the Fortress of Solitude. As it points a weapon at the Caped Crusader, Batman fears that his plan didn't work. Tim screams at the android, begging it, trying to appeal to its new programming, but it's no use. Turns out, Batman is like everyone who has ever lived. He survived everything he ever faced, right up until the point that he didn't. As he turns and looks at Tim, he tells him that it's okay. As Failsafe fires his weapon, Tim drops to his knees, screaming at the top of his lungs, telling Failsafe that you were supposed to have compassion. The robot tells Tim Drake that that was compassion. With Batman now eliminated, Failsafe flies away, leaving nothing behind but a broken Man of Steel and Boy Wonder. While his programming is complete and Failsafe's journey is now over, we see that Batman's has just begun, as he lays there in an alley in the piss-pouring rain in a Gotham City that isn't his.